Buckle up for AEC Trailblazers, the Founders Files, where we crack open the stories of the brightest minds in the AEC startup scene. Forget institutional pitches. We're diving deep into the real personal journeys of these industry disruptors. Get ready for some casual chats firsthand.
Hello, and welcome everybody to another episode of the AEC Trailblazers podcast, where we interview the most amazing AEC founders. Today with us, it's Niknaz Aftahi. She is the CEO and co-founder of AEC Plus Tech, an innovation platform connecting AEC professionals with the latest tools and technologies. A former architect and design technologist, Niknaz is a keynote speaker, AIA member, and online architecture instructor. Beyond her professional pursuits, Niknaz is a dedicated human rights activist. Niknaz, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. It's wonderful to be here. Thanks for the invite.
No, it's great to have you here. For everybody who's listening out there, I've been pushing to get Niknaz in the show, and after a year, we made it work.
I know, we did it. Yeah. So many rescheduling. Sorry about that, but I'm so happy to be here.
Hey, no, I know you're a busy person, and you're all the time doing so much for our industry. So no worries. You're here, and I would love to hear about. You're so involved with the AC community, but how you ended up. I know you're a former architect, but how you ended up doing that? Where was the beginning of? I'm not gonna say young Niknaz because you're still young, but younger Niknaz.
Thank you. Yeah, my background is in architecture. I did my undergrad in architecture in Iran, then my master's degree at UC Berkeley. And I think the beginning of all this, like all this AEC tech that I'm now so involved with and so interested in, it started when I was working on my thesis at UC Berkeley back in 2013, I want to say, for 14, that I graduated. So my final project was a public space. And then I had this partner that was a computer scientist, a student, and we were working on this project together, exploring some AI applications, some like technology, embedding it into like the design process. And that's really when I started becoming more and more interested in the potential of using technologies, and at the time AI. So it was like 10 years ago, more than 10 years ago. So AI was not still, I mean, it's been around for years, but it didn't have applications in so many of the things that we do daily, especially in like a project workflow. So what I was doing with this project was that, so I was designing a public space in Iran. So I'm from Iran originally. And then in Iran, as you know, still a lot of, so many things are considered to be illegal, like a lot of activities. For example, like concerts with a female singer is like considered to be an illegal activity. So I was designing this hidden public. It was like sort of a very exciting project. And the project was called Invisible Public Spaces. So designing concert venues or places for everyone to get higher education that is still illegal for some like group of minorities in Iran. And the way the algorithm was working was that it had a scoring system and was giving score to, we had three parameters. It was lighting, escapability, and invisibility. And then we had this whole space. We were giving like points to all these different spaces, and then the algorithm would give us the most optimized space for the public space. So it was really fun, and it was when I was presenting it at the end of the year, I saw so much interest in not necessarily the project was very interesting too, but the potential, the applications of like how, because it's still up to today is a question. So AI is great, but how are we really going to use it, when it comes to practice and to solving real world problems? So I had a lot of fun working on that project, and I think that was really the beginning of this passion and this interest that I have. And then later I graduated, I started working at various architecture firms in Bay Area, some smaller, some medium-sized, some larger firms. I've had different roles. And the last one was this medium-sized firm is it's a great firm with great people, about 50 people, downtown Berkeley. It's called ELS Architecture and Urban Design. And I started this technology because I was just so interested in, again, the potential of using these new solutions technology. So I started this design technology committee. So our principals, our decision makers were open to the idea of like doing some research. And we had three streams: computational design, sustainability, and energy modeling. And we were researching different tools. We would invite people to come to the office, talk about case studies. And I started, to think more about a database, something that everyone can access, really, not just necessarily people who are going to conferences and events, but something for everyone to keep up with what's happening out there in the AEC tech world. Something that is not exclusive. I always mix up these two words. So basically democratizing access to this. And I left my architecture job a couple of years ago and started AC Plastic as that, community driven database.
Interesting. And I think it's a huge problem. Like, our industry is just insane because we need to implement so much technology, right? We know the problems of our industry, right? And we know we need to implement a lot of technology and processes, and a lot of things needs to change. But at the same time, people don't know where to search those tools, right? It's just incredible how still today people don't know what's out there. And us, for example, that we develop tools, it's really common that we get clients asking us for stuff that we need to just tell them, like, there is no need for you to develop something new. Just buy it off the shelf. There is so much out there. I don't know if you get the same feeling. You know better than me. What's the implementation of the ecosystem in the AC nowadays?
Yeah, for sure. And it's such a broad industry, AEC, different size firms, different types of project, the life cycle of the project. It's such a unique industry because it's so project, oriented, but at the same time it's so broad and everybody is working in their silos. And there's so much competition. People are not really sharing workflows and knowledge because everybody is afraid of their, competitive advantage. So a lot of things are considered to be inside knowledge, things that are not really inside knowledge in other industries. So people are just like openly sharing. They're not afraid. But our industry is just, everybody is so secretive about certain things. And certain things, of course, are confidential, but a lot of it can be shared, can, help everyone. And then, so we get, requests and inquiries like what you just mentioned all the time, every day, from all over the world, not just US. So I'm working for these 10 people interior design firm, for instance, in Turkey. Today I was just talking to someone in Turkey, all over the world. I'm looking for a generative design tool that could help me with workplace design, with this, with that. And then people go online, search for things, but like you're saying, it's really hard to find those use cases or those case studies or the most relevant tool and solution to what you are looking for. So we've tried to help with that with the AC Plastic platform.
No, and it makes sense. I also feel that the problem of our industry is that if you, I don't know, you take finance, for example, right? You need a bank or you need a wallet, or you know exactly what to expect, right? And most bank accounts or most wallets are pretty much the same, like smaller differences, but pretty much the same. In our industry, it varies so much, like you said real well, not only between stakeholders, between architects and engineers and subcontractors or general contractors, but also varies depending on the project. So it's so hard sometimes to find the right tools because you might need different tools for each project you're working on. If they vary so much, that can happen. So it's kind of a struggle, right? I don't know if you're the kind of clients or audience that you have are suffering this, or or it's easier for them?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. These on AC Plastic, we call them filters. So these filters that we have. So I'm always reviewing them, adding to them, and the whole team. And they're just like you're saying. There's the question of like the project life cycle. So what phase of design or construction is this certain tool or technology applicable to? Is it something for programming, for design, construction document, all the way to? Is it something for all these phases, or just for for a small portion of it? Then, like you're saying, teams and people who are is it something for structural simulation, or for like the post construction phase for like contractors? And then there are like bigger categories of sustainability, things that are easier to figure out. So we've been adding all these filters and all these like categories as ways that can hopefully help people narrow down their search, and again, like find the most relevant tool to their workflow and their tech stack in the fast way. But still it has room to improve, and it's a matter of time. So finding the tool is one thing, but then adopting it and learning more about it and all those other things that you have to go through.
Yeah,
Oops, I'm sorry.
no worries. We can edit that afterwards.
Sure.
It, I think it's easy to develop a tool. I know AC founders will kill me if they hear this, but it's easy in general to develop a tool. But implementation, it's really hard. But something that I've seen a trend. I don't know if you see the same. It's kind of like it's not only it's growing the amount of startups, like compared to 5 years or 6 years ago. It's kind of growing a lot, and there are a lot new investments, and VCs are getting tempted to invest in our industry. But also I think the trend is also changing in the type of startups, because it used to be, I think, 80% or something like that was startups that were created for the design phase, and that was like a couple of years ago. And now we see a trend that it's changing slowly. More startups also working on construction phase, or pre-conceptual phase, or even maintenance phase. I don't know if you see the same trend, or how you think this is going to evolve in the next few years.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely. I see the same trend. So on AC Plastic, the way it works is that these tech companies, they sign up and then create a page for their tool. And then they have full ownership of their page, and they're responsible for updating the information, adding case studies and all that. So on a daily basis, really, so if I don't, maybe on a week, maybe daily is exaggeration. On a weekly basis, we see one or two tech companies, AC tech companies, that sign up and create a page for their products. And most of them I haven't heard of before, even though I'm very active. But all these like new tools that I haven't heard of, I get so excited. I go and learn more. And they are solving different pain points that, like you just said. So in the past, it used to be just design, like, I don't know, computational design, like generative design. But now I think more and more people, with the accessibility of these technologies and AI and all that, uh, are brave enough to tackle the problem they've lived, the pain point they've seen at some point in their career, and just come up with some solution and then build their own startup. And some of them already have clients. Some are in the process of like in beta. I just had a conversation with actually someone with a very exciting product. It's in beta phase. Anyways, so yeah, more and more startups definitely in the space that are solving different problems, not just design, and not just like generative design or design related things that we used to see a lot, but for AEC, basically for engineers, for collaboration, interoperability, construction, and all that, sustainability, all that, which is exciting, you know. So
No,
there's so
absolutely.
many challenges, so many problems that room, like I think it's the AC is second least digitized industry after fishing. So so there's so much room for all
It's
these
just
great
it's just
solutions.
crazy. We're at the same level of fishing.
I know, yeah, yeah, we are.
But within the AEC, where I don't know, just for the people in the audience, where do you feel there's still not enough startups yet, or ideas that you think, you know what, a lot of our clients are asking us this, and there's no tools for this specific problem, or have you encountered something like that, or
Hmm. Yeah, so that's a very good question. We get inquiries, we get like demo requests for certain tools on a daily basis, and for some of them, we confidently go back to these people and offer like 3 4 tools, and sometimes we help them with like understanding them better and the research process. But for some certain things, it's still a question, and the question that our audience have most of the time is not just about like what's out there, but it's about how these tools um, stand out. So there are 4 solutions doing similar things, or at least like claim to do the same thing. So the comparison part of it, how can they compare all this, and then how it would integrate with their existing workflow. So that's really sometimes the main question they ask us. So because people are not gonna, change their whole entire tech stack or workflow overnight, so it has to be incremental. It has to be one by one. Yeah, yeah. So these are all the questions that sometimes we have the answer. We can get the answer from the vendors right away, but sometimes it's something that we have to test ourselves and really make sure that we are going back to these people with the right answer. But to go back to your question, it's really like all the categories. Like for example, sustainability, it's like carbon management is something that people ask us all the time. Energy modeling. So energy modeling, we have 50 big categories on AC Plus Tech, and energy modeling is always the most searched category on the platform. Because if you think about it, so people have been building solutions for this forever, but
sure.
still, when you want to do an energy modeling for a simple, like I don't know, kitchen renovation project, you don't know which plugin or solution or tool is the best one to test and try. So yeah,
Really interesting that the most searched is energy modeling.
I know. Yeah, yeah. We used to think that AI is not really a category. It's just like AI powers like features, but we have that category too. So that's been very popular too. But energy modeling is the most visited, is the most searched.
It sounds like, I think it's not that there are no tools out there. It is more of, there is not an easy and fast way to do it for every project. I think that's the problem, I guess. So you end up having to use multiple solutions to actually do it.
Yes,
It's
yeah, for
it's
sure.
like, yeah,
The
yeah.
comparison piece of it. So, and then for someone who is just like discovering different tools and want to choose one, so we have this case studies library on AC Plastic. We have over like 300 case studies right now, and the reason I added it as a very essential piece to the platform was that people can really understand and see the applications of this product, and they can see who is using these products, because that's when you know if it's relevant to your practice and your projects or not. When you see that it's similar, maybe a competitor or a similar company with your size, with your type of projects is testing and is using this tool, that's when you are convinced to at least test it and see if it works for you or not. So we have these case studies, and then with all these tech companies that sign up on Expertise, we encourage them to list case studies and use cases. So it can be a project or it can be just a generic use case, to share them with us, so for our audience it gets easier to understand the applications of these solutions.
That makes sense. And in terms of, let's say, I have a product. I have already uploaded to AC Plus Tech. What do you think are in general, right? I know it's difficult to just define one, or in general, what are the features or aspects of tools that allow more people to actually want to try them? Like, for example, hey, if I have, like you said, case studies, or if I have, I don't know, SOC 2 and I'm compliance with a security aspect of companies, or if other companies are using it, or what do you think are the aspects that you think, if you have all these aspects, most likely people are going to test your tool?
Yeah, I'd say, those case studies, those like projects that you got, not that's for an early stage startup. If you don't have any actual project that work, you don't have any chance. No, not at all. But the more you can talk about the problem in a very, the problems you're solving in the most tangible way, the better. So as far as questions we ask on AEC Plastic, we ask about your data, security, of course, integration, platforms, pricing, like all these key facts. And we grab all the information, we show them on your page. But I think when it comes to people really wanting to, try your product and explore more, it's about those clients you already have, people you're already working with, and those projects that you've already worked on. Maybe they could be pilot projects, or they could be just like some projects that you, just some cases that you pay someone to build for you, But seeing and in real world how this tool can, optimize someone's process, can save the business impact, really, can save time and money for a company. Building that business case, is important.
No, I think it's really important to your advice, because like every startup that is starting needs to be aware of that. It's rather important to have the, like you said, the sample cases, for example, case studies, or whatever you want to call it. But what do you think is, because I bet because you have clients that are testing tools and then are not using them. What do you think are the things that discourage the most potential clients after they have tested tools to actually not implement them?
Yeah.
Besides not working properly, or besides, I don't know, not solving their problem, for example.
Yeah, yeah. There are multiple reasons. Sometimes is certain products or tools over promising things that they can do for you. We have to be careful about that. I know there are always features and things we would like to add to the platform or the product, but we have to be honest and clear, upfront when we are selling these tools, that this is what we have right now and this is where we are going in like 6 months, in a year. So it's sometimes disappointing for people that I've talked to, that they expect something that is not there right now, and then they have to spend so much, time and energy getting access to those very basic features that they thought their basic features of that like particular product, and they're not there. So that's one. And also, what else? The customer service, not customer service, like really like being able to work with that team, and how like that collaboration piece between if it's like earliest, if it's a product that is not established, it's like an earliest stage of startup, like really working together and collaborating on like understanding what the AEC firm needs, and solving their problem and offering the right services and features. And then sometimes it's challenging. People that I talk to, like let's say if it's a smaller firm, a CTO or IT. So how like different size firms, different people are in charge of technology implementation and then investment. So sometimes it becomes challenging and hard for them to convince other partners or other people in the firm to spend that money. So when it comes, for example, I hear this all the time, even when it comes to like, for example, Autodesk products, it's never a question. They keep raising, their subscription fees, and no one asks a question because they think they have to spend that money. But when it comes to other solutions, startups and great, that everybody is asking that question: why do we need this? So why do we need to use this instead of Excel or whatever? So, and then it's a lot of work for these people who are the passionate ones in the office, or they are just in charge of that, to convince these people that these are tools we need to explore and we need to invest in. So I was giving a talk at the AIA in Boston this year, and then someone asked, after my talk, someone asked this question, that he was a principal of a 50 people architecture firm in New York, and he was asking if he should really go out there and try and test these products, or if you should just wait for the day that they all are acquired by some larger company, or they all integrate into one. Because if you put yourself in their shoes, so it's a lot of investment. And the question is this startup going to be here next year? I spent all this time and money educating my staff and all that, and then suddenly they decide to put their product on the shelf. So for larger companies, it's not that likely. And my answer was that no, you should definitely start trying, because if you don't, first of all, you fall behind. You don't know what's happening. It's just moving, these technologies and AI and all this stuff moving so fast that if you don't keep up, you fall behind. And secondly, it's good for the industry. These technologies, they need your feedback. Some of these founders, even like more and more people I talk to, people that are coming from outside AEC, and sometimes they don't have a very deep understanding. I mean, they usually have a co-founder or a partner that is from AEC, but still, getting that feedback from practitioners and for people who are using these tools in their workflow is essential. So it's good for everyone if people test, and as much as their time allows, of course.
That's a reality. It's like I understand big firms as well, that they don't want to invest time, but at the same time they complained about Autodesk raising their prices, or not being able to move to a different ecosystem because it's like, I'm tied to Revit and ACC or whatever. But what are you doing for the industry? Like, you don't need to even sometimes even invest on an AEC startup. It's just you giving feedback, and in return you might get a product that it's tailored to your needs exactly, and not something that's just broad and generic. And I think that's the point of view that you need to have in mind when you're thinking if I should implement a new AC startup or not.
Yeah.
Companies shouldn't be afraid of that. Otherwise, our industry is going to be stuck forever, I guess, in the same situation it is right now.
For sure. Yes, definitely. It's very true.
But no, and I also feel that sometimes there are a lot of founders who are at the beginning, right? They're a little bit lost of on, hey, I want to create my own company, I want to create a startup, but I don't have the means, or I don't have someone who can tell me a problem it's having. Again, I know a lot of potential founders that are trying to solve problems, but they don't get to reach a person on a firm that can tell them, you know what, we have this problem, and I know 20 more firms have the same problem. You solve it, we're willing to pay X amount of money. That conversation never happens. That's what I feel, or what I've seen after speaking to many founders that are just starting.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes we even have some assumptions that are not necessarily true. So we have to go out there and talk to people to test it and to see if it's true or not. Yeah, building, that community is so important. It's so essential. Community of people who support you and mentor you, and give you advice, and they could be potential clients, they could be just people with experience that have lived some pain points. And it's a piece that take time. So it's one of those things that, like, with the world of AI and tech, everything is moving so fast, and you expect things to happen like overnight. But we have to understand that, like, building that community, finding those right connections and right people, it's something that takes the most amount of time, because you talk to 10 people and then maybe 9 of them are too busy or are not necessarily in the same space or don't haven't like experienced it. But that one person is, you know, can help you and empower you and, you know, advise you so much, that is enough for like taking your product to the next level and then help you throughout.
Oh, that makes sense. And you also raised a good point about on your previous answer about companies that sometimes you don't know if they're going to be here next year, and that's also a question I want to make to you, because I through the years I bet you have seen a lot of companies
Yeah.
raise and fall. What good advices you can give based on your experience to what are doing well startups that can be and I don't know, stay afloat in the market for years? What are good practices that you think startups do to avoid, failing? I know there are so many variables and there is no recipe, but what do you think are a couple of good advices for those kind of people who are building their own startup to stay afloat?
Yeah, that's a very good question. You know, in my experience, what I've seen is like connecting to those right people is the key. So the ones that, you know, people, sometimes we can't even call it failure or failing, because the product may pivot, or they have some like bad experience with one product and the next one will be the right solution they are building. So there are all these different scenarios and stories, but the successful ones are the ones that are consistently, you know, working and talking and collaborating with the right people for their solutions. And they're just so successful in building those connections and those networks, that is not just about selling your product and making money right away. I mean, of course we do need that money to grow the business, but it's about that bigger mission and that bigger idea. And once you're focused and you're consistent and you're doing it the right way, and you're you know, seeking guidance and mentorship the right way, so you can do it. It takes a lot of time, but I think, yeah, consistency and having those right people around you is the key.
That makes sense. And in terms of um, bigger disruptions in our industry, what do you think? I'm not going to ask names because I bet you cannot say this is my preferences, but in general, where do you think are the biggest disruption happening in our industry? Is it in, I don't know, architectural design or in structural engineering, or where do you see there is a lot of people working on and there is going to be a big disruption in the couple of years?
Yeah, you know, I want to say in the way we collaborate, there, like the interoperability piece and the collaboration piece is something that always stands out to me as the biggest challenge, because we are just so many people working on the same project. You know, I think on average they say 30, minimum 30 companies are involved with a project. So from all the consultants, so that this architect, and then all the consultants, and then later contractor, and then the collaboration piece is something that is being disrupted. We are not there yet, but now more and more tools are trying to work with one another, like as far as exporting and importing and the data, you know, transition, so people don't have to start from scratch. So this data can hopefully one day goes from programming all the way seamlessly to, you know, post construction. But I see that. So like companies like, I don't know, maybe some names, for example, Groberts, you know, is a company that I worked with for a long time. It's a CAD software, but I really like how they've been trying in the past couple of years to translate beam data to CAD, because there are still so many companies that work with CAD, you know, DWG files. So this transition between CAD and DWG and beam files. So it's a very, if you think about it, it's a very simple problem, but solving it correctly could help a lot of people save a lot of time and money. So I think that sort of collaboration between the stakeholders, between and then, for example, visualization, like D5 is a great company, rendering and visualization. They have a lot of focus on like people going to the same space, understanding the project, again, stakeholders, consultants, and then all the way, hopefully, to the contractor. So contractor doesn't just get a bunch of sheets and drawings. They can get the data, they can get all the files, and they don't have to start from scratch. So I think that is, at least it's my what I see all the time. I get excited about all these solutions and products, but that's the collaboration piece is something that I'm very genuinely excited about.
Oh, that's great. And we're speaking about so many startups, but I also know that you have just started working on a new venture as well. I would love to hear about that.
Sure, yeah, definitely. Would love to tell you more about it. So it's called NeoStack, and it's a project that, so with AEC Plus Tech, AEC Plus Tech is basically a discovery platform for all these tools and technologies. It's a catalog of all these products. And so on one side, technology companies sign up and create a page for their products. And on the other side, our users explore, the database, they sign up. On average, we have like 20 to 30 people who sign up every day, join the community, get the newsletter. They have their dashboard where they can save their favorite tools, favorite case studies. But then for the longest time, I was thinking about taking it one step further. And instead of people coming to us, what if we go to them? Because people are already using some products, they're using sometimes multiple tools and products. What if we can understand how they are using these products, how happy they are, how many licenses are they are using, what problems they have with adoption. So basically solving the adoption problem, not just discovery, but one step further adoption. So now with NeoStack, the new platform that I'm building with my co-founder Stefan, so what we are solving is not just tech discovery, but also mapping and understanding how these tools are being used in the office. So the way we see it is basically solving three main problems: tool discovery, tech mapping, and then adoption. So tech mapping is the part that is useful for, let's say, IT managers, CTOs, technology leaders, people who are in charge of mapping their workflow, their tech stack, their roadmap, all those things, and then at the end of the day, at the end of the year, reporting back to the office, like the budget they need for next year, how much money they've been spending, or tools and technologies that people in the office are asking for. People are asking for certain tools all the time. So, and usually someone, or if it's a larger firm, a team is in charge of like making all those decisions. So that is the second part. And then the third part is adoption. So adoption is going to be for the entire office, or if not for the entire office, for B managers, for people who are working with all these tools. So how can we centralize all this information that is right now on, Excel sheets here and there, passwords, links, educational resources, all these things that is helpful for people to understand, these solutions. And now with more and more technology, so we really need that centralized space. So yeah, that's what we're building with NeoStack. And the idea is that eventually it's all be automated. So right now, what we're building is obviously not fully automated, but what we are aiming for is that like the B manager doesn't need to go and manually add projects or tools. Like, let's say I have a tool page on my NeoStack dashboard for certain technology. So I want to know for what specific projects I'm using this certain tool. So all this will be automatically, mapped and tracked. And then eventually it will help everyone with, more efficient tech adoption in the office.
No, it makes sense, and it's something that I think today is completely disconnected. I mean, you cannot know as a CTO or whatever. You may know who has, I don't know, certain tools installed in their computers, but you don't know how that it ties into specific projects, or how that ties into specific processes of how much time I'm saving. Like, I mean, everything is completely disconnected. So I think it's a great idea, and it's a big need for at least big firms out there. Um, and I do feel it's like you said, it's a way of not just showcasing what's out there, but also going a step further and helping them adopt whatever tool they want to adopt. I guess.
Yes, yes, definitely, exactly. Yeah, so far we have about 200 people on our wait list, and some companies that are very interested, to partner up with us and build this together. And we're excited. We think there's so much potential. Again, with more and more tools being, available in the market, being more affordable, and then the challenges that users have, on their side, understanding them, and then testing and piloting and adopting. So we hope we can help with all that.
I love it. And given the fact that you have your platform and NeoStack now, Easy Tech plus Tech and NeoStack, what do you think it's going to happen with you guys in, I don't know, 3-5 years? What do you see yourself doing for the industry?
Yeah, I think that what has happened in the past couple of years. So since I started AC Plastic about now 3.5 years ago, so the community keeps growing, and the number of all these tools and the features we keep adding, like new features based on the feedback we get from the community. So it's like it's just we've been growing organically, and I think it's the same thing that's probably going to happen in the coming years for AC Plastic and for NeoStack, for both. Just to keep we try to keep talking to users and really listen carefully to their pain points and things that they are looking for, and then implementing whatever we can into the product.
That's great. That's great. And I know you're a busy person, so I'm not gonna bore you anymore with questions. But before we wrap this up, can I ask you a couple of ping-pong questions?
Sure.
Okay. What do you think is the next big trend in the AC?
Yeah, I wish I had thought about that. I should have thought about all these great questions. But then the next, I would say sustain. I wouldn't say sustainability. At least that's what I want. Yeah, and the
Oh,
energy
it
modeling
might
that I was
happen.
talking about. Yeah.
And I know this is gonna be a really tough one. Just to clarify, it's not your favorite, but just name a great AEC tool. That it might be a really old tool like AutoCAD. It might be some new one like, I don't know, Hyper, or one great tool. You need to name one of our industry.
Oh wow, that's hard. That's really hard. So I want to say. So again, I'm going back to that collaboration piece and thinking about tools that have helped you know, AEC towards more efficient collaboration. Can I select? Okay, I'm gonna select two. The Grobert, the one that I'm very familiar with, CAD and Beam, and then Ignite is also a great platform that I've recently learned more and more about.
Yeah, Ignite is, they have been doing great. So if you could collaborate with any person in history, which person would you choose?
Oh, wow. That's a hard one. So, person in the history, like not AEC necessarily, right? I
No,
mean,
no, it can be AC, or it could be from, I don't know, Jesus Christ to whoever, like Tesla or Elon Musk, whoever you like.
goodness. So I'll actually just go with one of my university professors. People who teach. So I can maybe say a name, like one of my professors in Iran. His name was Mr. Tusky, or one of my professors at UC Berkeley, Rene Chow, who is now the dean of the school. So I just love their work. Sometimes they're not even being recognized, and they just do so much. So I'll go with them. Not too famous, but
Oh, that's a great answer. And then, last but not least, which is your favorite building in the world, and have you ever visited?
Yeah, favorite building in the world. I visited a couple. My recent trip in Chile, but let me think. Um, a building that I remember, and there's so many. Oh my god! I want to say I'll go with the Museum Broad in LA. I love that building. I'll go back to that all the time. Okay, I'll go with that.
It's okay. Let's go with that. Um, and before we say goodbye to each other, can you tell everybody where they can know more about AC Plus Tech or Neostack?
Sure. Yeah, definitely. So AC Plus Tech, it's www.aecplustech.com. Please visit our platform. If you have a favorite tool, a technology, a solution that you've used in your workflow, you can always add them. You don't need to work for that company to be able to add it. You can always add it. If you have a project you can share with us, please do sign up and add that project to our database, share it with us. And then, yeah, join our community. We would love to have you. And, the more we share knowledge, the stronger we get and the faster we can move this industry forward together. And the Neostack is www.neostack.ai. Please check that out and join our waitlist. We are releasing our first version in October. So yeah, we'd love to see you there as well.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for being here and saying so much for everything you do for the AC community, Niknaz.
Of course. Thanks for having me, Valentin. This was great. This was fun, and I enjoyed our conversation.
Yeah, it was great, and I hope to learn more about or hear more about Neostack soon. All right?
Yep, for sure. Thank
All
you.
right.
Have a good day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks to our listeners. If you like this content, you can find past and upcoming episodes in ascworks.everse.com and at all of our Everse social media. We'd love to hear from you and recommendations